everyone. So, request silence. Thank you very much. Thank all of you for participating in the Kirtan. So we'll just say our invocation prayers and then we will begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnanatimirandhasya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते रक्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you very much. So today's topic, Yoga for Happiness. Now, the Vedanta Sutra starts with the aphorism Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now that we have human life, it's the time to begin inquiry. What kind of inquiry? Brahma Jignasa. Jignasa means inquiry, and Brahma Jignasa means to inquire about my real spiritual nature. Who am I? Because there is another sutra in the Vedanta, which is Anandamayophitasa. Ananda means happiness. And everyone craves for happiness. We all want to be happy. Who wants to be unhappy? We all want. But the questioning, the jigyasa must be, why am I interrupted in my happiness? What are the interruptions? That's one of them. So, what does that mean, the siren? I don't know what that means, but if it's an ambulance, that means you see the death, what you see is old age, and of course birth. Bhagavad Gita says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. dukkha doshanudarshanam. There are many miserable conditions in life. 4 of them are chief, and they cannot be undone. They cannot be escaped. What are they? Janma, birth. Birth is extremely painful, both for the mother and for the child. We only see the suffering of the mother, but the suffering of the child in the womb is hundreds of times higher. We are packed up in a very tight condition for 9 months. And when the mother eats a little bit of a salty or a spicy food, the skin burns. Not just that, there are so many insects, worms biting. So it is so painful that when we come out, the baby always cries, right? We all cry when we come out. That's because of the intense shock that we experience at the time of coming out of the birth canal. It is so painful that we completely forget our pain. Just sometimes it happens when someone goes through a very horrific accident. After that, he loses his memory. He cannot remember how the accident happened or what happened before that. Right? So, that's exactly how it is at the time of birth, and which is why we don't remember anything from the womb. Just because I don't remember, it doesn't mean it did not happen. We went through all that pain. So birth is very painful. Next, mrityu, death. Nobody likes to die. Nobody. But we are forced to die. Forced to die. And we can't even escape. We plan for so many things in life. They may or may not happen. But death will certainly happen. If you have to be sure of something, if somebody says, "Are you sure?" If you want to say, "I'm absolutely sure," you will say, this is what people used to say, "As sure as death." That's how they used to say. Because death is something which is absolutely sure. We are only not sure of when it's going to happen, but it is going to happen. So mrityu is painful. Jara, old age, is very painful. Now we are young. You are in the prime of your youth. You will think, death is something old people can think about, not for me. But who knows how old we are? You know what? But there was an incident where our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, our guru, he was asked this question: Why are you teaching all this, spiritual knowledge to young people? They are supposed to be busy in life. When you have more time in your retirement, that time is the time to think about all these things. So our guru, Srila Prabhupada, he said, "What is the meaning of old?" He answered, "Old means old. When you're old." No, old means, Prabhupada said, our guru said, old means you're going to die. You're near to your death. That is the meaning of old age. So who knows how near are we? Who knows how near we are to our death? Anything can happen, right? So we are always old at any time. And even by definition, from Bhagavad Gita we understand, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. There was never a time when we were born, and there was never a time when we will die actually. The body dies, the soul continues. We are actually very, very old. Millions and millions of lifetimes we have been through. We have been through the body of a dog, the cat, the insect, the snake, the reptile, everything, plants. And now finally we have come to human life. That's why we say, Athato Brahma Jignasa. In this lifetime, human lifetime, we can begin this inquiry. Who am I? Who is God? What is my relationship with God? And we are not talking about sectarian, cultish understanding of God. God is God, the Supreme Controller. So now, the point we have to understand is it is painful. Old age is painful. So old age is at any time. Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. The fourth miserable condition is disease. Right now I have a sore throat, a little bit of a sore throat. It's not very comfortable. but that's not very serious. Sometimes we get much more serious, cancer or diabetes or much worse, life-threatening diseases. All of them are not pleasurable. Everything is painful. So janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha doshanu darshanam. An intelligent person is he who can see the miserable conditions and who can understand them and who tries to make a solution for them. And solution does not mean I invent something to prolong life. That's not what we're talking about. Because even if you prolong life, you're going to die one day. That's for sure. So, what can we do about it then? So that is where this yoga for happiness, today's topic, is going to start at. So happiness means it should not be interrupted. That is real happiness. Sometimes people say, oh, unless you have a little bit of misery, how do you appreciate happiness? How do you appreciate a pleasurable condition? That's why misery is also important, they say, so that you can taste the happiness even more. But that happiness which we think is happiness today, for example, you may go to a nice movie and enjoy yourself for about 3 hours. You think that is happiness. But actually what it is a temporary relief from suffering. It's not actually happiness. 200 years ago there was this technique of punishment. When a thief was there and he was convicted, he was taken by 4 strong men into the water, into the river, and his head was dumped into the water until he almost cannot breathe. Then they put his head out. And then they gave him about 10 seconds, put it back again. And then until he cannot breathe, then. So they do this for half an hour, 45 minutes continuously. You know how painful that is. And then after about 5-6 minutes, the person feels, he is going to die when he's under the water, and when he's out for 10 seconds, he thinks, oh, that is happiness. Then 10 seconds later, down again. So that relief, we are terming it as happiness right now. What we think is happiness, watching India in the Cricket World Cup or some movie, this is all some temporary relief from suffering. That's not real happiness. Real happiness is when you actually can enjoy life. So it all starts with, in the yoga, there are 8 parts, Ashtanga Yoga. It is called Ashtanga Yoga in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The yoga is mentioned as Ashtanga Yoga, 8 divisions of yoga, 8 stages of perfection. It starts with Yama, then Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. 8 divisions. So people nowadays, yoga means some pranayama, some asana. These 2 things they do, right? For some fitness. That's all. But that's not yoga. It's not just a fitness program. Although that's a byproduct of the yoga practice. But that's not the actual goal of yoga. The word yoga means what? Even in Telugu, yoga means addition. If you learn Telugu medium, yogam, viyogam. Antam kada? What is that? Yogam ante addition, viyogam ante subtraction. So yoga means to join. Join what? Some people say body and the mind. No, body and the mind are always joined up. We are all together. In fact, we have separated. We have to know what is what. We are unable to distinguish. We have to know what is mind, what is intelligence, what is soul. We don't even know. So, what is this joining about? This joining is about me and God to reunite with God. Why do I say reunite? Why not unite? Because our original position is to be with God. We have forgotten Him for many, many lifetimes. And now we have to get back to Him again. And that is yoga. So then what is this asana, pranayama and all that got to do with that? How is that linked? How is that connected with going back to God? So the Ashtanga Yoga process is first of all yama, to practice some sense control. Yoga indriya samyama, to control the mind, to control the senses. Shama, Dama, Tapa, Shaucham, Kshantir, Arjavam, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam. So these are principles of yoga, Brahminical principles. Yama means to practice sense control. Niyama means regulation. So Yama means do's, Niyama means don'ts. So Yama, Niyama, what we should do, what we should not do. Like if you have a ailment, you have certain, the doctor will tell, okay, you have to eat these things, you have to avoid these things, you have to exercise, you should not sit idle, so many things, right? You have do's and don'ts. Similarly, for our spiritual, our principal sir has said, we need to have physical and mental health intact. You know how these two things can be had? You can't individually have them. There is another fitness you need to have, which when you have, you automatically have mental fitness and physical fitness. What is that? Spiritual fitness. Because I'll show you, chapter 3, text 42 of Vaagdevi are the soul, which we actually are. We are the soul. We are not this body. Has innerwear and outerwear. What is innerwear? The Sukshma Sharira, which is subtle body, which consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Ego means identity. False ego means false identity. What is that false identity? That means I do not know who I am. I think I am this body. I am a man, I am an Indian, I am a human being. This is actually wrong. Why? Because this body is not what we are. How to understand that? When I look at myself in the mirror, that's me, that's the body. But okay, so here is where Bhagavad Gita comes. And here is explained that, when we say this is my body, this is my mind, my heart, my lungs, my liver, my kidney, my legs, my. So who am I then? If these are all mine, like for example, you have a bag, you have a shirt, you say this is my shirt. That does not mean you are the shirt belongs to you, right? So if you say this is my body, that means you are not the body. The body belongs to you, but who are you? That's why when somebody dies, we point at the body and say, oh, here is the body of Mr. So-and-so. We don't say, here is Mr. So-and-so, meet him. We don't say that. We don't say that. Why? Because Mr. So-and-so has left. But the body has not left. That means Mr. So is not the body. If Mr. So was the body, he is right there. You cut open the body, nothing is missing. And yet, Mr. So-and-so is completely missing. Not one characteristic of him is visible now. Not one idiosyncrasy of him is visible now. Why? Because that person is something else than the body. Like if I wear a Chinese dress, I don't become a Chinese. If I wear an Indian dress, I don't become an Indian. If I wear a German. The other example in Bhagavad Gita is the body is compared to a yantra, machine, a car, for example. When you drive a Toyota, it's a Japanese car. But you don't become Japanese by driving a Toyota or a Nissan. At the same time, you don't become a German when you drive a Benz or Mercedes. You don't become one. So similarly, when I have a body, an Indian body, I don't become an Indian. That's the first thing you have to understand. Who am I? Our identity card is called IC. Here it's called Aadhaar card. In many countries, in Singapore we call it IC, identity card. But I call it identity crisis because it's a crisis. We don't even know. None of them that are mentioned in the identity card are actually my real identity. That is false identity. If my name is so and so, that is only when this body is there. When I quit this body, when the soul quits this body and goes to take birth in another body, the name changes, everything changes. And then the gender, male or female. Next life, I may be a plant. It can be. Why are there so many species of life? Who are there in those living bodies? Just like we have a body. The dog has a body. Everyone has a body. That's a big air-conditioned room and big feast of 20 different items to eat. No, the fish does not need all these things to become happy. You just put the fish in the water, it will become happy automatically. So because that's its natural habitat. Our natural habitat is not this world, this material world. We don't belong here. Because our original nature is to be eternal. That's why nobody likes to die. You know why? Because no one actually dies. It's not natural for us to die. That's why we resist. We will try to resist, defend self-defense courses in national defense. We have national defense. Why? Because we want to be alive. Because by nature we are always alive. The soul never dies. The soul never dies. And the body looks alive now and one day it will die. No, it's always dead. Just like your dress. Your dress is not alive. But wherever you are going, the dress is going with you. Right now? Input from the world. But karmendriya is when you output something to the world. To your surroundings. For example, speech. Tongue is used for tasting input and speaking output. So it has two functions. The whole voice box. So that is a karmendriya. Karma means working senses. So knowledge acquired senses and working senses. Then there is hands, you do something with this. Legs, you move. And the genitals for progeny, for begetting children. That's also not. And then anus. The stool, passing out stool, that's a very disgusting thing to say. But you know what? That's necessary for the upkeep of this. And in fact, many of the birds, when they pass stool, they deposit even seeds and then trees grow from there. So many things happen in the natural ecosystem. So everything has an interaction. This is called Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. Above these 10 senses is the mind, which controls, or supposed to control. But now we are being controlled by these senses. We smell something nice, oh, I want to eat it. My mind decides suddenly. I was just walking on the road, but then something nice smell hits my nose, and then I decide, okay, I want to eat that. So my senses are pulling me in one direction, another direction, like that. So technically in Sanskrit, this position is called Godasa, to be a servant of the senses. Whereas Goswami is the opposite word. You know why sannyasis are called Swamijis or Goswami? Why? Swami means master. Goswami means, this master means master of the senses. Maharaj. Usually Maharaj is used for kings or a sannyasi. King because he has conquered his kingdom and is ruling over them. And a sannyasi because he has conquered his senses. And that's why he is called Maharaj or Swami or Goswami. So this is why they are called Swami. So we have to become Swami of our senses. Now we are Das, a servant of our senses. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness. So these, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, enviousness. These things are, we are under the control or influence of these things now. We have to get out of this. So how to control, how to be happy? As long as we have these things, Kama, lust, Krodha. Take out 16:21 of Bhagavad Gita, 16 chapter 21st verse. You see, 3 gateways to hell. Kama, Trividham, Narakasyedam, Dvaram, Atma, Nashanam, Atma. Kama, Krodha, Tatha, Lobhas, Tasmadeta, Trayam, Yajit. See the translation. There are 3 gates leading to this hell. Lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So we are under these things. What is Kama? Lust. So many crimes happen because of lust. So many problems happen because of this one thing, lust. And lust is not only sexual lust. It is also lusting for anything. To Atmendriya Pritivancha Taranam Kam. And that means, if I want to satisfy my senses, if I want to be happy in this transaction, that is called lust. even in a relationship, it is very common to say, I love you everywhere. You see, I love you. All the movies show I love you. But actually, there is no love. Love is when we are concerned about the other person's happiness. You say, I love you, then you say, I love chicken. That means you want to marry the chicken? No, right? What does that mean? That means you enjoy it. So when I say I love you, that means I enjoy you. I want to be happy in this relationship. That's when the problem starts. So actually in this material world, we don't really care for the other person's happiness. Sometimes we do care. Only because if that person is happy, I am happy. So for my happiness, I have to keep the other person happy, and therefore I try to make the other person happy. It's not out of a genuine care for the other person. So love means Krishnendriya Pritivancha Dhare Prem Nam. Actually, love cannot be found in this world. Real love cannot be found in this world. The closest to real love that we can find in this world is the mother's affection for the child. That's the closest. It's almost selfless. It's not exactly selfless, but it's almost selfless. Especially in the beginning years. So, real love can only be had with God. Great devotees, acharyas, they are in love with Krishna. When we only want Krishna to be happy, when we only want God to be happy, despite my inconvenience, if I want Krishna to be happy, that's called love. So, this is of course a little bit of an elevated topic, but why am I talking about this? Because unless we have a happiness that is far above our so-called tiny pleasures that we seek, like going to a movie, or going after some boys going after girls, girls going after boys, and these kinds of things are very enjoyable, especially in the young age. But they don't provide lasting happiness. You can survey all people. They say happily ever after, happily married, happily ever after. But you ask the married people. You can see in your own house, you can see everywhere, in the neighborhood. It's not a platform of happiness. In fact, we have a joke, happily never after. So, after that, all the troubles then starts actually. But of course, we're not saying don't marry. That's not what we're saying. But our seeking pleasure should not be of this platform. These are all very tiny, temporary, transient, flickering happiness. They will come for us for a while and they will die in a few moments. The happiness doesn't last. So we should have a happiness so far above all these things that when you have experience of that happiness, everything else pales in comparison. Go to 3.6. So you see, Yoga Indriya Samyama. Now we know lust, anger and greed lead us to hell, lead us to not only hell in the next life, but even in this life. You will have hell of a life. It's chaos. It's going to be chaos if you are going to be having those lust, anger and greed. Now, go to 3.6, go to the verse. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasnaram indriyarthan vimodhatman mithyachara sa uchyate. Mithyachara means a pretender. Now let's see the translation. Just use the piece. One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. We have discussed the 10 senses, right? 10 knowledge acquiring senses, Jnanendriya, 10 working senses, Karmendriya. Now here we have another phrase which is sense objects. What is that? Sense object means what your sense is perceiving. For example, for your ear, which is a sense, the sense object is sound. For the eyes, anything which has a form is a sense object. For the tongue, the sense object is taste. So like that. Now, here it is said that if you, now I have to control my senses, so I should forcibly restrain my senses. That is not going to work because the mind still dwells on the sense objects. You may stop your so-called enjoyment for a while. I should not go to a movie and waste my time. Okay, you try to do that, and then 3 weeks later you're like, it's too much, let me go to OTP. It's gone. I mean, because we are forcibly trying to do it. That's not the way. Let's go to 259. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishva nivartate. That means F4. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this is the formula. What is that? Instead of forcibly trying to stop myself from enjoying, have an engagement that is much greater. For example, I'll give you a simple example. A child is playing, playing with his friends outside. And suppose it is getting dark. And the mother calls him, hey, please come back home, rara. Hey, he's not interested. He just keeps on playing. And if the mother says, okay, come here, I have ice cream for you. Oh, immediately he leaves everything and comes. Now, what happened there? How could he give up that happiness of playing with other children? Because he had a glimpse of a higher happiness, ice cream. Okay, now I can give up. So this is called rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishva. Param drishva means seeing something higher, experience something higher, much more enjoyable. Easily you can give up. Like for example, if you see a pig, పందులు ఉన్నాయి చాలా చెత్తంతా తింటూ ఉంటాయి కదా. మేము పందులను చూస్తే ఏమనుకుంటారు కదా, ఏంటి చెత్తలో ఒక దొరుకుతుంది, why is it playing in garbage కదా. You don't have any taste for garbage. Garbage దగ్గరికి ముక్కు మూసేసుకుంటారు, అవునా కదా. బట్ ద pig is enjoying. ఆ పందుకి చాలా ఎంజాయ్మెంట్ వస్తుంది అక్కడ, బొద్దుగా తయారైంది, చెత్త తింటూ enjoying. So his standard of happiness, మనమేమో సమోసాలు తినేసి పిజ్జాలు తినేసి మన టేస్ట్ చాలా పెరిగిపోయింది, అదన్నీ చెత్త తింటాం. Our taste is much higher, so we don't have taste for garbage. Even if the pig invites, okay please రండి మేము మంచిగా ఒక సెలబ్రేషన్ చేసుకుందాం ఇప్పుడు చెత్తలో అంటే కూడా మీరు వెళ్ళరు. ఇంట్లో చెత్తలో సెలబ్రేషన్ చేసుకునేది పంపడం అంటారు అంతే కదా. సో లైక్ దాట్ our current happiness in this material world are పందులు లాంటిది. పందులు లాంటి happiness. Garbage. We are happy with garbage right now. Whatever we think, ఏంట్రా గార్బేజ్ అంటున్నావు, ఇదంతా నేను సినిమా చూస్తున్నాను, విరాట్ కోహ్లీ క్రికెట్ ఆడటం చూస్తున్నాను, ఇదంతా హ్యాపీనెస్, ఇదంతా గార్బేజ్ కాదు అనొచ్చు. కానీ if you just analyze for a while, if you analyze for a while, what is the meaning? Suppose Virat Kohli plays and scores century, India wins whatever, World Cup is going on, World Cup. Suppose India wins, everybody happy, oh India won World Cup, India won World Cup. Okay sir, what did we gain? At least Virat Kohli got his salary. What did you get? You wasted your time and you wasted your money for the internet connection. Nothing. I mean, we are spending. They are at least getting materially ever వస్తుంది, వాళ్ళకి salary వస్తుంది, ఆడున్నాడు. మీకేం వస్తుంది? లాభం. ఓ ఇన్స్పిరేషన్ అంటారు, ఇదంటారు, అదంటారు. In the grand scheme of things, in the whole life, how important is cricket when you are going to die? Death is called the final exam. ఇప్పుడు మీరు అందరూ ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉంటాయి, మీకు ఎగ్జామ్ ఉంటాయో తెలియదు, డిగ్రీ కాలేజ్లో ఉంటాయా, మీకు ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉంటాయా? సో ఎగ్జామ్స్, ఇప్పుడు మన ఫైనల్ ఎగ్జామ్ ఏంటంటే డెత్ ఇస్ అవర్ ఫైనల్ ఎగ్జామ్. సో అవర్ నెక్స్ట్ స్టేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్ ఇస్ డిపెండెంట్ ఆన్ హౌ వి పర్ఫార్మ్ ఇన్ ద ఫైనల్ ఎగ్జామ్. 8:6 chapter 8 text 6 of Bhagavad Gita talks about final exam of death. Let's see. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tameva hi kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body. మనం చచ్చిపోయేటప్పుడు ఆ లాస్ట్ మూమెంట్ లో what we think, according to that we will get our next body. Because when he quits his body, whatever state of being one remembers, that state we are living with our faith. You know, మీకు మన భారతదేశం ఉంది కదా, నేమ్ ఎలా వచ్చిందో తెలుసా? భరత్ మహారాజ్ నుంచి వచ్చింది. Bharat Maharaj, there used to be a king called Bharat Maharaj. There were two Bharat Maharaj actually. One is the son of Dushyanta, under whose name actually Bharat is called now Bharat. There was another Bharat Maharaj, Rishabdev's son, many millions of years ago. He was a king, undisputed king. Nobody could defeat him, powerful, but he was very saintly also at the same time. So after some time he decided, this is too much. Now I have to concentrate on my spiritual life. So he gave his kingdom to his sons, and he went to the forest to do tapasya and meditation on Krishna. So he was doing nicely, and he had beautiful wife, undisputed kingdom. Nobody could defeat him. Really good king. And obedient children, nothing wrong with his family. Yet he was so serious about spiritual life, he went to the forest. What happened after that? He was rigidly practicing. One day he saw a deer. Please silence for a while. I request you to pay attention. So there was this deer, Chinna deer. So that deer was pregnant mother. So then a tiger was attacking, and the tiger attacked the mother, and at that time the mother delivered the child, the doe, small deer, and then the tiger ate the mother up, killed the mother, ate. So this doe was there, and the tiger was already got a big meal, so he was not interested in the small deer. And he saw this deer, and he took care of the deer. Then what happened? He got attached to the deer. మనకి కూర్చోబెట్టుకుంటే అలాగే మనకి ఇప్పుడు చాలా చూస్తూ ఉంటాం ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్లో, ముందు టిక్టాక్లో ఉండేది, ఇప్పుడు ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ ఏదో కుక్కలు పిల్లులు వీడియోలు ఉంటాయి, ఓ క్యూట్ అనుకుంటూ వీడియోలు ఉంటాయి. అలా ఆ డియర్ పట్టుకుని క్యూట్ అనుకుంటూ పెంచాడు అనమాట భరత్ మహారాజు. సో వాట్ హ్యాపెండ్, హి గాట్ వెరీ అటాచ్డ్ టు ది డియర్. చాలా అటాచ్మెంట్ వచ్చేసింది. ఫ్యామిలీ వదిలేసి మొత్తం ప్రపంచాన్ని వదిలేసి వెళ్ళాడు అడవికి. అక్కడికి వెళ్ళి ఒక డియర్కి అటాచ్ అయిపోయినాడు. So one day there was a big storm anamata. So there was a huge thunder, lightning, rain, storm. You cannot see even 10 meters. And then the deer was nowhere to be found. Kanpadaledu. A deer akkada arustunnadu, pilustunnadu. Em sound ledhu, em ledhu. Akkada chachipoyinda, emainda ani kangaru. He was very afraid what happened to the deer. So he was running and he fell into a ditch. Big ante cliff laga undedi. Cliff kaadu exactly oka pedda ditch lo padipoyadu. రాళ్ళకి హెడ్ తగిలిపోయి కింద పడి చచ్చిపోయాడు. చచ్చిపోతున్నప్పుడు లాస్ట్ సెకండ్లో he saw the deer right on top of the land. అది కూడా రియల్ డియర్ కాదు, ఆ ఇమేజ్ వచ్చింది అంతే. బట్ ఆ డియర్ అప్పుడు కూడా లేదు యాక్చువల్లీ, అలా కనిపిస్తుంది. ఆ డియర్ తలుచుకుంటూ చనిపోయాడు అనమాట. ఇది మన పురాణాల్లో రాసింది. భాగవత పురాణం అని, there is a book called Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam. In that book it is written this incident. So he died thinking of the deer. Next life he was born as a deer. Next life. So then he became. But the good thing was, because he was very serious about God in the previous life, God made him Paramatma, Krishna. He made him remember what happened in his previous life. Usually we don't remember, right? But have you seen those? How many people have seen those documentaries where, a small child, he remembers something of his previous life? ఎంతమంది చూసారు? ఎవరన్నా చూసారా అసలు? ఓన్లీ వన్, maybe 2, 3, 4. That's it. Okay, fine. So actually there is, you have to see these documents. It's very interesting. People, even World War veterans, they remember exactly what plane they flew, exactly where they died, and the scar on their body. Even in the present life they have a birthmark there. There's so many interesting things. Not only that, some people are prodigies. ఇప్పుడు మ్యూజిక్ 3-year-old ఉన్నప్పుడు పియానో వాయించేస్తాడు. చూసారా మనలోనే? మ్యూజిక్ ప్రాడిజీ ఆర్ కరాటే ఏదో చేసేస్తాడు చిన్నప్పటి నుంచే. ఈజ్ వెరీ గుడ్ అట్. How do they get these things? Not by chance. This is because of previous practice in the previous life. కొంతమంది గుర్తుంటుంది, కొంతమంది గుర్తుండదు, కానీ ఆ టెండెన్సీ సెకండ్ నేచర్ లాగా వచ్చేస్తుంది. అందుకని ప్రాడజీస్ వస్తారనమాట. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద సైన్స్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ అండ్ రీఇన్కార్నేషన్. ఎలా అవుతుంది ఇదంతా మెకానిక్స్ అనమాట. ఇవన్నీ మనకు అర్థం కావాలి. Now I will show you. You see what you think of at the time of death అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇప్పుడు ఆ ఫైనల్ ఎగ్జామ్, ఇప్పుడు మీకు ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు పాస్ యువర్ ఎగ్జామ్స్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ప్రిపేర్ అకార్డింగ్లీ యువర్ ఎంటైర్ ఇయర్ కదా. యూ హ్యావ్ టు స్టడీ diligently, you have to understand the concept very well, and then you can pass the exam, right? You can't expect to pass the exam without any preparation. That's not going to happen. You can try to cheat, but then even if you cheat, next after you so-called pass, you will not be able to do anything any good to your job, right? So the best way is to actually prepare for the exam. At least in these exams, some people can cheat. Nowadays that is also not easy. You will be caught. But in the exam of God, you can never cheat Him because He is Paramatma. He is witnessing every single one of your thoughts. You cannot escape Him. So next 85. अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति समद्भावम् याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः. Sanskrit also. Now, because I've already chanted. Translation: whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. If we quit this body, anyway we are going to die. This body is going to die. పుట్టుకుందంటే చాలా చావు కూడా ఉంటుంది, ఖాయం. అది we cannot escape. So at the time of death, if we can remember God, Krishna, then next life there is no more work again. మనం వైకుంఠానికి వెళ్తాం. వైకుంఠం అంటే ఏంటి? విగత కుంఠ యస్మాదితి వైకుంఠ. This is the definition of Vaikuntha. Vigata kuntha. Kuntha means anxiety. No anxiety of birth, death, old age and disease. No anxiety. That is the eternal world, the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. Vigata kuntha means where there is no negation. Where there is no birth, no death, no disease, no old age, eternal life, always happily engaged in the service of God. That is called Vaikuntha. That's where we belong and that's where we can go if we pass the exam of death. How to pass? So we must constantly abhyasa yoga yuktena. We have to practice while we are alive, while you have good intelligence. Now you are in your youth. Now you have full strength of senses, full strength of the mind. Later on in your life you will not have as much strength, as much energy. You will not have when old age takes over. So right now you have it. So invest some time. Instead of just doom scrolling on Instagram or YouTube, you can actually spend some time investing in your spiritual growth. And Bhagavad Gita is the best way. We have so many books here. Bhagavad Gita has a solution for this. It is a very nice scientific book for everyone. Now I will say a little bit about how powerful the mind is, so we can understand. Okay, go to 5 and 6. 6-5 will work. Chapter 6, text 5. Actually, chapter 6 is full about Jnana Yoga. How to meditate, how to practice yoga. 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You see 6-5. Silence, please. Request. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadhaye atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva tripuratmanah. Now, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. The mind is our friend and our enemy. How come? Next. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvat. Shatru means you know, right? Enemy. For him who has conquered his mind, the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. You are sitting now with your greatest enemy. We all are sitting with our greatest enemy. Now we have to make it our friend. You know, 99.99% of the people in this world have their mind as their enemy. Because they have no control over it. The mind is controlling them. The senses are controlling them. They are not controlling the senses. So, you see now, you go to 562, Srimad Bhagavatam. So now this was from Bhagavad Gita. Now I'll show you something from the Bhagavatam. Another glimpse of how powerful the mind is. See, you go to the English straight. You see, you have spoken correctly. After capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them. A hunter, after capturing animals, he does not put faith in them, for they might run away. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's action. మన మైండ్ మీద అంత ఫెయిత్ పెట్టుకోకూడదు. మనకి మోటివేషనల్ స్పీకర్స్ ఏం చెప్తారు? ఓ మైండ్ ఓవర్ మ్యాటర్, యూ కెన్ డూ ఇట్ అని చెప్తారు. బట్ యాక్చువల్లీ వీ మస్ట్ నో అవర్ మైండ్ ఇస్ అవర్ గ్రేటెస్ట్ ఎనిమీ. యూ కెన్ డూ ఇట్, బట్ యూ కెన్ డూ వాట్? చెత్తంతా చేయకూడదు, మంచి ఏదో చేయాలి కదా. మంచి ఏంటో ఫస్ట్ తెలుసుకోవాలి, దెన్ వీ షుడ్ అప్లై the principle. So now our mind will dictate so many things, but you must remain. The first thing is, when the mind says something, you must first analyze. Oh, wait. Is my mind telling something right or wrong? I must analyze first. So how to know whether it is right or wrong? Sadhu, Shastra, Guru. ఇది ప్రమాణం, 3 ప్రమాణం అంటారు. మనం చెక్ చేయాలన్నమాట భగవద్గీతతో. భగవద్గీత ఏం చెప్తోంది? నాకు ఈ ఆలోచన వచ్చింది, ఐ గాట్ దిస్ థాట్. వాట్ డస్ భగవద్గీత సే అబౌట్ ఇట్? డస్ ఇట్ సపోర్ట్ మై థాట్ ఆర్ ఇస్ మై థాట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ sanity? It is something insane thought or a sane thought అని మనం ఫస్ట్ అనలైజ్ చేయాలి. Then we can go about going to do something about it. So next verse. तथा चोक्तम न कुर्यात् परिहित सख्यम मनसे अनवस्थिते यत् विश्रम्भात् चिरात् शीघ्रं तस्कन्द तप ऐश्वरम्. Please silence. Hare Krishna. Please. It's a very important topic, so please listen. Another 10-15 minutes, okay? Please. All the learned scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless. Mind is okay to end. What did he say? 634. Chanchalam manah Krishna pramati balavadrugham tasyaham nigraham manye vayuvaiva sudushkaram. That means, oka storm vaste, oka tufan vaste, we cannot control the wind, kada. Mind is more difficult than the tufan అంటున్నాడు అర్జునుడు. తుఫాన్ కంటే ఇంకా difficult control చేయడం అంటున్నాడు. The mind is restless, turbulent and obstinate and very strong about Krishna, and to subdue it I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. And 11:23:47. No, next one, sorry. 564. 565 is it? See, now there is a very strong word is used here, kathora vakyam, but this is important to understand. Okay, nityam dadati kamasya chidram tam anuye raya yoginah kritam aitrasya patyurjaya kunstali. Translation. An unchaste woman, you know what is unchaste woman? A woman who is not faithful to her husband, who has some other man, this kind of thing. An unchaste woman is very easily carried away by paramours. Paramours ante husband kaakunda inkovatana lover anamata, extramarital affair, paramour antaru. And it sometimes happens that her husband is violently killed by her paramours. If the yogi gives his mind a chance and does not restrain it, his mind will give facility to enemies like lust, anger and greed, and they will doubtlessly kill the yogi. Hare Krishna. Please, I request silence, because otherwise I cannot function. Hare request your attention for a short while. After this, you will leave. Okay, so now 11:23:47. So now you see how the mind will force us to think in very, very destructive ways. You see, go to the You see, all the senses have been under the control of the mind since time immemorial, and the mind himself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his godlike power is fearsome. Therefore, anyone who can bring the mind under control becomes the master of all the senses. So your final time has come. So we are also almost finished. So this is the power of the mind. It creates enemies, friends, and all this. It creates so many wrong thoughts in our mind. It's because we don't know how to control. Now earlier we have done the kirtan. So this chanting of the holy name is so powerful, and hearing the Bhagavad Gita is so powerful that it can be done in two ways. Chanting can be done japam laga cheyochu, kirtan laga kuda cheyochu. Kirtan ante with musical instruments and japam ante with the beats. So you can do these two things and easily control the mind. Very easy. Mantra, another mantra anta. Manatrayate iti mantra. Deento aithe mana mind release avutundo stress nunchi dani mantra anta. And Maha mantra is Hare Krishna Maha mantra. So you can start chanting with the mala, or you can chant in the kirtan. మనం chant చేస్తున్నట్టు. Instead of public వెళ్ళి డాన్స్ చేసేకంటే ఈ కీర్తనలో డాన్స్ చేస్తే మీకు చాలా పుణ్యం వస్తుంది. So with this I would like to conclude, and we have a lot of books. Bhagavad Gita and related books we have. Those who are interested can purchase some book, and you can take one for your reading as well. From your material reading, you can get your spiritual knowledge.